Chapter 4, Boruto, 2 Blue Vortex, The Awakening. Hello and welcome, I am your handsome King Nerdybeer, back with the monthly Boruto chapters of 2 Blue Vortex. Of course, I like to do these reactions on a screen record directly on viz.com under the Shonen section, Shonen Jump. And so in case you're wondering where I'm reading this, that's where it is. Now, of course, due to copyright reasons, I cannot show you all the panels. I'll just try to show you the good stuff. You got on the front cover, Kawaki wearing that drip there. I think that's a purple shirt and a white trench coat. And the belt sticking out. Again with these belts, I swear.
To this day!
Alright, now let's go ahead and get into the action. On page 2 and 3 on these panels, we left off with Code just looking at the 10 tails, or what's left of the 10 tails. Looks like it's going to have some kind of anorexia problem. Needs to be fed, obviously. And so Code just looks down, and then there's a little flashback of remembering what Boruto told him, but these ones are different, thanks to you enhancing them. And then Boruto continues on in the flashback, you need to scrap them while you still hold their reins, or else we'll end up in the worst possible future for everyone. And then, looks like Code is just looking at the 10 tails in its blindfolded belt strip there. And then Code just tells to himself, how could they be such a threat when their only ability is to devour? Well, this really validates that Code is not exactly the brightest. Alright, we switch over to the page 4 panels here. Looks like Code is like clutching his chest a little as if he was going to have a heart attack or a stroke. He's still feeling the effects of the Rasengan Yoshigo. I don't know how to pronounce it, whatever. Yoshigo, whatever. And then we have a shot of that little toad there, the surveillance toad. Looks like it's kind of holding on to a little emblem. They're like a hidden leaf emblem thingy. Oh, that's actually really nice. Nice artwork there. And so we have, we switch over to Boruto. He's being communicated with. We can probably guess who, but we'll probably confirm. I've already seen some of the spoiler panels, so I already know who it is, but maybe you don't know. So let's find out together. So communication with the toad via some kind of like little radio frequency. Hurry, Boruto. There's no time to spare. And then Boruto responds, could you be quiet for a second? I'm not as deaf as my grandpa. And so Kawaki is just staring down at him like it's some kind of Western shootout, and he thinks to himself, who the heck is he talking to? And then Boruto says, gotcha, and then blink. And so he is going to make Grand Dad proud by doing the Flying Thunder God, the Flying Raijin. Alright, my ultimate favorite ability of all of Naruto. I'm so happy he got this ability. I'm actually okay with not even seeing the Jogan. Now we shoot over to Boruto. He says, Flying Raijin Jutsu. And so now he has arrived to Code's little hideout. And Code instantly is just really surprised and stunned, like, what the? And so now we have a new face-off standoff between Boruto and Code. Code says, Boruto! How do you... And then Boruto, of course, just approaches slowly. He really has nothing to worry about with Code, since Code is having to clutch his chest in the painful Rasengan process there from years ago. We are now at page 6 and 7 panels here. So looks like Boruto sees into the chamber and he sees nothing. There's just those spikes there. And then Boruto says, hey, where's the 10 tails? And then looks like the frog is kind of stunned here, just surprised as well that, hey, how can this be? I swear it was just down here. And then Boruto is just as surprised as he is. And then Boruto just looks on And then the frog audio responds with, "It's highly unlikely Code moved the beast. He made no suspicious movements, nor does he currently have the capacity to do so." Yeah, I agree. He's too much in pain right now. He can barely even stand and having to clutch his chest there. So anyway, looks like Code now notices, "What's this toad?" And then looks like Boruto and looks like this creepy little figure in the background there. And then Boruto now notices it, he senses it. So now we're on page 8 and 9 on these panels. Looks like we got a new enemy has emerged. Kind of like one of those video game campaigns here. Where looks like this guy is bald with like a fur coat almost. And it looks like the belt marks kind of like give him almost like a little cool mask almost. That's actually kind of cool. I'm liking the art style here. Liking a lot. And then as I take a shot of this gentleman Jack here, looks like Boruto says, "Damn it, it's too late." Yeah, I'll drink to that one.
To this day!
Yep, you got your work cut out for you, Boruto. You got to face newer enemies here. So anyway, Code is just really surprised, and then he says, "Bug?" And then we kind of reminisce it on Bug, kind of in a stasis sleep in that tree that we remember from the previous chapter. So now we switch over to page 10 and 11 on these panels here. And so Boruto says, "By Bug, are you referring to that guy who's become a tree behind us?" And then Code just looks on, and then Boruto responds, "'Cause that ain't Bug. That creature in front of us is a divine tree." And then Code says, "What? What are you talking about?" Again, Code not really being the brightest here. Jeez. So anyways, looks like the Bug clone Grime, not a Raptoid, looks like a full-grown man with a long beard, like ZZ Top long beard with a fur coat. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it, actually. Jeez, need to play one of those ZZ Top songs. So then the ZZ Top Bug style art here attacks Boruto. Almost like he leaps over like some kind of frog, actually, or just dive bombs head first. So that's interesting. Hopefully they improve that in the anime there. So anyway, we're on page 12 and 13 on these panels. Looks like the Claw Grime Bug with the long ZZ Top beard just pummels Boruto into like the wall there. Makes a mess everywhere. And then we got the ZZ Top Bug here. He says, "Have you come to offer up yourself to be devoured, Otsutsuki Boruto?" And then looks like Boruto does a hand weave, and then electricity comes out, blasts him with this lightning release. Cool move there, cool move. And so now we switch over to page 14 and 15 on these panels. Looks like that does kind of make the Claw Grime Bug clone to back off, and then looks like his hand shapes like a monstrous mouth, very similar to what Kawaki does with his bladed attacks. So that's really interesting. And looks like Boruto is going to be the new main course here. We're just going to skip the appetizer, go to the main course. Alright, how delicious, I guess. So then we have the clenching of the appendage monster mouth thing that the bug, Claw Grime, whatever. And then looks like Boruto manages to escape with the flying Raijin again. Alright. Really being like his grandpa there. Alright. I am proud of him. One of my favorite Hokage is Minato, or Minato, however you pronounce it. So really proud that he's doing that move. It's really cool. So anyway, the bug clone, he responds with tricky little jutsu. And so now we're on page 16, 17. Boruto is just kneeling down, and then Code just inquires, "What's up with this thing? Tell me now. Ugh. Looks like he's ready to pass out from his own little heart attack, stroke from the Rasengan. Might as well just call it the Rasengan heart attack stroke. That's basically what it is here. But anyway, looks like Boruto puts his hand on his chest and releases the effects. And then Boruto just verbally confirms, I rescinded the years ago. Get up and prepare for enemy attack. There's no time to explain right now. Help me if you don't want to die. Then Code looks like he's feeling better. Better than a doctor's exam for a stroke or heart attack. So looks like the bug clone. Whoa, yeah, he does have a Renegon. Looks like a double-dyed Renegon. Really a throwback from the Paths of Pain here. All right, so then Code, he then responds with his own inquiry question. What happened to the Ten Tails? You say it's related to Bug getting devoured and becoming a tree? And then Boruto responds, not just Bug, this involves others too. Everyone who's been turned into a tree. Another new enemy that has emerged from the sky here responds with chakra. And then of course naturally Boruto and Code look up. All life on a planet, both current as well as past and long dead. We divine trees exist to suck the chakra out of all living things and form a chakra fruit. At least that was our original driving instinct. So now we switch over to page 20-21 on these panels here. And then looks like the floating entity there looks a lot like Jigen. Really, you could even argue he kind of has the same kind of eyes that Kawaki does. Either way, either answer is correct, whether it's a Jigen likeness or a Kawaki likeness. Either way, you're not wrong. So then it continues to speak. We appear to have evolved a bit, thanks to you awakening self-awareness in us. And then Code and Boruto notice another enemy. Looks like Moegi, I believe. Telling by that little style of hair. Almost looks like a core gesture there. And has heels. Has some stylish heels there. Wow, I'm really liking the artwork on this. So then she responds with, poor Code. It seems that your inescapable fate to be a clown who ends up being used by someone else. It's almost laughable. Yeah, since says the core gesture there, Moeki clone Ten Tails thingy-majiggy. So now we switch over to page 22-23 on these panels. So then the frog, we get the audio from the frog here. This is a bad situation. Time to retreat, Boruto, to regain our footing. Boruto is ready to unsheathing his sword, and then there's a fourth and final enemy here. Looks like they're hooded. And almost kind of looks like, really don't know what this is. This is going to be Sasuke? We'll see. And so now we're back to the Hokage building. We get a lot of dialogue here on these panels. So we get Shikamaru just confirming he suddenly vanished somewhere. Does this mean he's mastered space-time ninjutsu? And then Kawaki says, I have no clue how he did it, but Boruto vanished after Code fled, as if he were chasing him. And so Shikamaru just is confirming what we already know here. So you're saying Code was the only reason Boruto came to Konoha today? And then Kawaki looks like he's straight up just lying and just trying to fabricate as he goes along. There's also a chance that Boruto and Code are linked. Before he disappeared, Boruto seemed to be talking to someone. It better not be someone in the sensory units. And then Shikamaru rebuttals with the content of all sensory unit mind transmissions are being monitored. I'd know right away if someone was being a spy and helping Boruto. And then we enter Sarda here. Alright, Sarda, let's hear your 2 cents on this. So she responds with, "How ridiculous. It's a lot simpler than that." "I agree with you, Sarada. You tell him." So then she further replies, "Code attacked Konoha, and Boruto drove him away. That was obvious from their conversation. Please ask Ida to confirm it." And then Kawaki just says this one stereotypical line that you would probably hear in any show or movie. "You just don't get it. Sarada."
To this day!
Boruto is an Otosuki. No matter his motives, he's an enemy that needs to be killed just for being Otosuki. And then, of course, we get Sarada just responding with her own little glare of, "I think you're stupid, but I'll go ahead and respond here." She says with, "That's real rich coming from you, another Otosuki." So now we go to the panels, seen on page 26 and 27. And then we got Kawaki on a stare down like it's the WCW, WWE. We get Kawaki in this wrestling stare down here. He says, "Do I really have to say it again? I'm an Otosuki killing an Otosuki. My powers only exist to kill other Otosuki. Once that's done, I'll be happy to off myself. Until then, I'll do whatever it takes. Got that?" And then Sarada has to explain the obvious once again to this blockhead Kawaki. "I'll repeat myself. I won't let you have your way in Konoha as a shinobi who aims to be Hokage."
To this day!
And then Shikamaru says, "Both of you, that's enough. Unless you want to piss off the current Hokage." And then that really shuts up the whole conversation between the two. So then he continues on. "So what's up with these trees mentioned in the damage report involving the claw grimes? Are they trying to create a forest?" Sarada explains, "I'm not sure, but at the very least, the entrapped victims are still alive. There might be a way to save them. Based on what I overheard, my impression is that Boruto knows something." And so Shikamaru just confirms here with his own dialogue, and that's why he's chasing after Code. So now we're on the panels of 28 and 29 here. Then we just end with Sarada further explaining, regardless of Boruto's true motives, there's no doubt that he and Code have a hostile relationship. So since Code is a threat to Konoha, we should consider collaborating with Boruto to take down Code. And then now we switch back to where we left off with Boruto, the 4 new enemies, the 4 new bosses that we may have to face later on in this video campaign. I mean, the Boruto series here. Although it is feeling like a video game campaign. We move on, and looks like Code responds back, "You are self-aware, Defiant Trees?" And Boruto is really looking carefully at this 4th new enemy that's just hooded and mysterious, and looks like Boruto is ready to get out his sword and challenge it. And then the frog is just wondering, "What are you doing, Boruto? Our surprise attack failed. We need to leave now." And then now we get a little bit of facial reaction from that hooded figure with that Renegon there. Alright, really bringing back a throwback from the Path of Pains here. Alright, I'm loving it. So we go to the next panels of page 30 and 31. And so looks like that claw grime that looks like a hooded Sasuke just reappears from a belt mark. Okay, it can control the belt marks on its own without even Code doing anything. Okay then, well. And it looks like its arm turned into a slashing weapon, kind of like what Kawaki was already doing. So yeah, he's slashy, and looks like the slash misses both Boruto and Code. And then, looks like an electrical attack. Looks like it's reminiscent to the Chidori, or maybe a different type of lightning release. I'm just going to bet on it looking like a Chidori, even though he's not calling it out, or the thing is not calling it out. So then, we're at page 33 and 32. It looks like Boruto now has to do his own Rasengan to cancel out whatever electrical release it is. Okay then, and then we get on the top of the chamber, right where you see that little symbol thing that looks like a Renegon, Sheragon thingy on the top of the chamber. Looks like the Jigen clone here is just watching the dust from the attack there. Alright. And then now we go over to the page 34 and 35. And then looks like we have looks like a double team here of the Sasuke clone and the Bug clone, and the Bug clone has its monstrous appendage ready to eat Boruto, and then looks like Boruto has to do his own slashy, and oh no. Looks like the sword is jammed by that mouth, and then the Moegi clone does like a earth release here to entrap Boruto. Gah! And the frog is just in panic, Boruto! And then the Moegi is just looking like a damn court gesture, I'm going to say it, a damn court gesture here. And just approaching Boruto. And then now we switch over to page 36, 37. Looks like Boruto is saying, Code, lend me a hand. You're going to be killed too. And then Code says, seems like they'll devour you on their own. Become a full divine tree without me doing anything. And then so Code looks like he's ready to dip, so Boruto's just looking at this. Bruh. And then Code, like the bastard he is, it's an unforeseen development. But it works for me. I feel like it's a load off my shoulders. So of course he dips out through his belt mark thing.
Gotcha.
And then Boruto says, Go, damn it! And then the frog says, enough, Boruto. You need to get out of here. Remember, if you die, it'll be all for naught. And so then we got Boruto just looking at the Jigen-like figure. And then, gah! And then he has to do his little hand weave thing. Maybe not a hand weave, maybe a hand signal. And then he is now the flying Raijin. Teleportation, he's out. And then we got page 38, 39 on these panels. The Jigen-like clone. He says, you were lucky, Otsutsuki Boruto. Our self-awareness, having just awakened, our overflowing curiosity and the thirst for knowledge are still surpassing our instinctual drive to devour you. So run where you will, but no matter where you go, know that you can never escape your destiny. And then insert any kind of villainous laugh, even though there's not really a laugh there. And then we switch over to Boruto, just hanging out at a tree that looks like a Ten Tails tree. And then Boruto's just looking at the headband that Sasuke gave him. And then looks like a new character. I think we may know who it is based on the spoilers, but we'll go ahead and reveal it. And so this mysterious figure says, are you trying to destroy this planet? Don't ever be that rash again. And then Boruto apologizes. Sorry, I panicked. Really takes after his dad, just being a bit naive and reckless, but it runs the family. So we get page 40 and 41 here on these final panels. And then so it looks like this is Kashi and Koji without the mask. They're hooded, so I'm not trying to console you, but you knew there was a high chance of this happening. And it doesn't really change anything. We still must fight. And Boruto just leans his head. Sorry, you'll have to wait a bit longer, Sasuke. And then we see on this final panel, to be continued, Sasuke is of course still alive, just devoured in the tree. And wow, the thing about trees are like an ongoing thing in this story here. Okay, and to be continued, of course, to be continued. I'm loving the art design of these Ten-Tail Grimes here. So if you enjoyed this reaction to the chapter, make sure you like, subscribe, share. ring that bell notification so that we can be informed of more videos that I post. So until next time, until next month, same Handsome King content, same Nerbear reactions. Oh yeah, like the Macho Man.
To the Macho King!